What's up, YouTube? It's Rochelle Tannen. It's July 5th, 2022. It's 9:08 p.m. on the East Coast here in Philadelphia. Guys, I hope everyone had a nice holiday weekend. I worked. It's kind of slow with Uber this weekend, or last weekend, but hey, it's part of the game. I'm coming to do this video. It's a reaction video to the lady who slept with her daughter's baby's father. That video was about a week or so ago. I know most of you've seen it because people have been doing reaction videos. I chose to do the reaction video about the McDonald's burger and the grown man getting kicked out of his father's house. But I saw this story, and I'm watching one of my subs today. Shout out to the Trey King Show. I've been watching Trey for years. And there was a follow-up video from the mother. I believe her name is Miss Sherry. Let me start by saying I'm not a mother, and I've been told plenty of times since I was 18 years old. I'll be 42, Lord willing, in the next 3 weeks. I don't have no kids. I don't know. But I don't have any kids, but there's a few things I damn sure know. Let me start by saying this with a lot of black women. You women ain't shit. I had said in a video before I paused this channel when I was working on it a year or so ago, that black women this decade, you're going to have a really big problem on your hands, because last decade was all about your sons and the job you did on them, raising them. This decade is going to be dedicated to your daughters. And I talk to a lot of these young women in their 20s, mid-20s, hell, some even their early 30s, and the things they tell me about their mothers. Much like Miss Sherry, because I watched her response video and she made up some cockamamie story about she was in the bed and she didn't know her baby's father was laying in the bed. She felt an arm and she was tending to her granddaughter. Let's start from the beginning on the first clip. The first video, the young lady's telling the baby's father to get out and how she bought him this, that, and the third, and her mother says she ain't gonna get out. This black woman's a bad mother. Like a good 80% of black women have become bad mothers. We'll start with this. As a 42-year-old woman, if the good Lord blesses me with a daughter, I will never have any inkling to sleep with anyone she's dealing with, from teen crushes on up. Because being her mother and being the conservative woman I am, I always understood the importance of having a husband. Not a man, not a piece of a man, an actual husband before it became trendy. And if I had a daughter, I never want to go after any of the men she's with because they wouldn't be able to satisfy me as a woman. That's what her father's for. I don't need none of your men. Those are for you. My job as your mother is to teach you how to pick men, or at least play a role in how you pick men. This young lady in the first video that you guys saw about a week ago, she's telling this lazy ass nigga how she paid for his draws. He's living in her house. She be at work all day as her bum mother's telling her she don't clean, she don't cook for him, what you expect him to do and all this. Number one, like my mother taught me, God rest her soul, this is why I'm alone. You can do bad by your goddamn self, and that's the truth. I don't buy underclothes for men. I don't buy clothes for men. I don't give men rides. I don't do none of that stuff. Because you're a man. And men, black men particularly, you want to be respected as a man, but you don't do respectful things. The women that I'm saying ain't shit, don't get it twisted. The male counterparts, they ain't shit neither. If I had a daughter, number one, like my dad taught me, you don't ever go to work and you got a man laying up in the house not doing nothing. So right with that, her mother's a failure. If you're living with your daughter and you watch your daughter go, and it sounds like young lady works long hours. You're watching your daughter, your child, someone you brought into the world, go to work while you got this big rusty, lazy, wannabe bum in the house. He ain't working, but she is. You're a failure as a mother. Now, it's different if they're a married young couple and young brother gets laid off. You're supposed to hold your husband now. But that's not what we're talking about, because she used the word baby daddy. I would never allow my daughter to have a bum man lay up in her house while she's going to work. I would be a failure as a mother. Let's get into the parents of this woman, Miss Sherry. Now, I'm real big on age appropriate. And yes, I think there's things as black women, once you hit 35, 40, some things even 30, 50, you gotta give way to these young women. This woman has that big, rusty, crusty the clown, I'm sorry, not crusty, Shiso bob weave on her head and big long Cardi B nails. Totally inappropriate, because that woman has to be older than me. She has to be pushing 50 or over 50. I've said this and I'm going to keep saying it. The colorful weaves, the long nails, except if you have long natural nails, because I have met women who have long natural nails. They've been growing them for years. That's their thing. I'm with it. But I'm talking about a lot of you old hoes that run and get these long, nasty nails trying to compete with women half your age. You look silly. She looked totally inappropriate, totally silly. And she shouldn't be living with her daughter. Her daughter should be living with her. No, actually, I take that back. Her daughter should be living with that bum baby daddy. But if the baby daddy ain't doing right by her daughter, that daughter should be living with her mother, not the other fucker way around. And this hoe gonna talk about she ain't leaving and this and that and the other and it was good. What kind of trifling whore does that to their daughter? See, I knew over the last 20 some odd years I wasn't losing my mind. A lot of you black women have lost your motherfucking mind. And a lot of you black men as well. I felt so bad for this young lady because she was failed before she walked into the world. And yes, it's her mother's fault. Now, black women, I know, a good 80% of you that partake in this, quote, lifestyle have been sold that you're strong, you're independent, you're good mothers in spite of the way you abuse your children and don't teach them shit. But that ain't the truth. That ain't the truth. A lot of this shit we see in the black community, these parents are solely responsible for. And some things, black woman, yes, you're responsible for. You're a loser of a mother if you don't teach your daughter how to land a husband. But most of you couldn't get a husband and run around talking about you married with no rings. And would sleep with your daughter's baby's father, your grandchild's father. I'm fucking disgusted. I can't say I'm surprised because I've heard of shit like this. I've heard of shit like this. You know, I went to drive Uber on July 4th. And I went to drive Uber Eats. And I took an Uber to pick up my rental car. And I really hate getting African American Uber or Lyft drivers. A lot of black women I don't even like being around because we don't have nothing to talk about, because a lot of black women start having babies at 15, 19. My Uber driver was another African American woman. She's a local, Philadelphian, and you know most of them are single mothers. So we got to talking. This woman was born in the 70s. I'm an 80 baby, and we get to talking. And I made a statement. We were talking about the young and the old, which is a lot of the chatter of today on the street or on the internet. And I said to her, if you chose to have kids in your late teens or early 20s, that's your choice. But you don't get to relive your fucking 20s and your 40s and 50s. And she gave me a nasty look. And she says to me, that's not true. Some of us missed out and this and that and other. No. Then you just missed out. But you don't get to relive your 20s. A lot of y'all look silly trying to compete with these women in their 20s and in their 30s even. You guys look silly. If you decide to become a mother at 16 and you're a grandmother by 33, 34, those are your choices. But you don't get to relive your teens and 20s forever. That's not how it works. It doesn't work that way for men. It doesn't work that way for women. You older women ought to be ashamed of yourselves. And like the great late Malcolm X said, the chickens are going to come home to roost. And they're roosting like a motherfucker. That woman had the gall. See, a lot of y'all, and that's another thing. You couple this social media with the arrogant narcissists we have running around here. This fool, this woman, Miss Sharon, actually made a response video. Talking about she don't like the nasty messages in her inbox. She deserves every nasty message in her inbox. I've heard black women call their 13, 14-year-old daughters bitches. Let me tell you something. If I ever call my daughter a B, she gonna be like 18, 20, and it's a drag out fight, one of those type deals, or older than that, and it slips out. I would never call my 13-year-old daughter a bitch, no more than I would curse out a baby. I've had women tell me, you don't got kids, you don't know that. Oh, I know. Because if you curse out a 13-year-old, and I'm in my 40s, and if I had a 13-year-old, I would have had it at about 30. That means that 13-year-old has more finesse than you do. And you're the adult. Same thing with a baby. No, there's nothing a baby from 1 to 4 can do to make me curse them out like a grown person, like I've seen some of you do over the years. Up north, down south, mid-Atlantic. It seems like a lot of black women have gotten joy in the last 30, 40 years of breaking their children. And I ain't with that shit. I wasn't with it last decade when I saw you all in the streets doing it to your boys. I'm not with it the way you do it to your girls. Now, a lot of women can criticize me because I've had many ignorant men and women say about being jealous because I don't got kids and all that. Let me tell you niggas something. What's the point of having kids if you're going to bring them here to make them broken adults? And yeah, it's important whose seed you carry. Just like as for a man, it's important where you put your seed. Now, this young lady in the video stuck with this loser. His name was Darius. I heard the mother say his name. And if she had a decent mother, she wouldn't even have a baby by Darius. Not at all. She'd be working and building her life like a real mother's supposed to teach her daughter. And if wouldn't have a baby, she'd be out dating in her 20s to find out what she likes and what she doesn't, so she doesn't get stuck with a loser for a lifetime. Because unfortunately, children are a lifetime commitment. Whether you like the other party or not anymore, whether it was just some hot loving, children are a lifetime commitment. It absolutely broke my heart seeing the way this woman talked to her daughter. But again, I'm not surprised because I've seen you hoes do shitty things in the streets to your own kids, adults or minors. And as a woman that doesn't have children, you know who should be the most pissed off? Is you black women who are married, or even you baby mamas that are decent. Don't raise decent children, have a decent relationship with your baby's father. Y'all should be the most pissed. Because women like this, young or old, are what's giving y'all the bad name out here. Yeah, they're the ones. And so some things with you old hoes, y'all are fucking ridiculous. As a 42-year-old woman, I'm not fucking with someone in their 20s. Different worlds. I've dealt with 2 men that are younger than me. One was 6 years younger than me, and one was 2 years younger than me. And in both instances, I hated it. It's like fucking romper room. Even the 2 years, I can't. That young man, that doesn't do anything to me. For me, I like my men to be older than me. But a lot of you old hoes see what your kids don't know, and these young people don't know, and they're praising the 90s and stuff. See, I know what you were back at the end of the 90s. Be you in your teens at that time or your 20s. And just like this woman, the mother, having a man, her daughter said you had a whole man. That's all she only had is men. Never had a husband or a man to hold her down. Because if she did, she would be sleeping with her daughter's baby's father. Very heartbreaking. And I have a feeling it's going to get a lot worse. And black woman, black man, you're bringing all these issues. You did all this. You're responsible for a good 90% of this shit. And even telling other black people in the last 10, 12 years what we're allowed to speak on, or we're the sellouts and stuff for bringing these issues up. You women are about to feel it in the rest of this decade into the next, because your daughters are pissed, and they have every right to be. That woman, Miss Sharon, I don't Instagram or TikTok or anything, but you guys keep floating nasty messages to that old hoe. Make her feel the way her daughter felt after coming home, supporting her rusty ass and that rusty Negro. Keep sending her bad messages. I'm kind of wishing I did Instagram just so I could send her a fucked up message. But on that note, guys, I'm out of here. I'm trying to keep these videos between 15 and 16 minutes. Thank you for all the new subscribers. You guys have an awesome night. I'm out.